Welcome to Durbania. I'm Durban, and I'm going to read way too much into Star Trek Into Darkness as we get closer to Star Trek Beyond coming out this week. Yes! I am so excited for Star Trek Beyond. It is not even funny. That last trailer for Star Trek Beyond, just every time I watch it, I'm just like, oh, I can't wait. Let's see if I'm right about this. You know that shot in the trailer where Bones is like, you want to go back out there? Bet you anything, that's the final shot of this movie. Or, the very tail end of this movie. I'll bet you that's what that is. Anyway, I'm super excited for Star Trek Beyond. So, did Star Trek on Sunday, doing Star Trek Into Darkness today because I am just that excited. So, I just recently watched it. I'm pumped. You just get this concept, don't mess around with evil. Just don't even play with darkness for any reason whatsoever. Captain Kirk at the end of the movie gives that dramatic speech and he talks about how people will always be there to rise against us. But how we respond to that kind of defines who we are. And he goes, look, we're human. We're going to want to first react in vengeance, which is exactly how Kirk reacted. Sometimes we risk awakening evil in ourselves when we confront evil. So, kind of the enemy at this point in history in Star Trek is the Klingons. It's like the enemy of the human race. They're just this weird, crazy, barbaric race. And now you have this admiral who kind of wants to go to war with them because he doesn't like this enemy of the human race. So what does he do? Because of the time travelers from the first movie, they expand space exploration and they find Khan's ship. They find Khan's crew. He figures out this dude is a brutal savage. He's like an augmented Captain America superhuman. So what does he do? He wakes him up to exploit his savagery, to use him as kind of the one-up against the Klingons, who the Admiral, who Marcus sees as the real villain. And so he wants that one-up, because he wants to start a war, and he wants to annihilate those guys. So you got somebody who's bloodthirsty, awakening somebody who's bloodthirsty. And then you got Kirk, and as I was talking about earlier, this is a guy who doesn't understand, at this point, the full weight of his mantle. And what happens is Christopher Pike ends up getting killed in that whole great big shootout, and the darkest parts of Kirk begin to awaken, and the man wants vengeance. Now, thankfully, Kirk is surrounded by good people. Good people that are able to see more than he sees. People that are reminding him, like Scotty turning in his resignation, like, look, if you're going to bring these missiles on this ship, I'm done. I'm out. Here's my resignation. He didn't say it like that. It was more like, here's my resignation. I can't do accents. I'm really sorry. Finally, this all gets through Kirk's thick head. And that's the good thing about having goodness around you and surrounding yourself with real friends and real goodness. Because when things start to get really bad and the pressure's really on, then that's what's going to seep in. Look at Admiral Marcus. Behind Jupiter, he's building a giant, evil version of the Starship Enterprise. How in this day and age does somebody build something like that behind Jupiter with nobody knowing it's there? He is messing with darkness. The darkness in himself, he's stirring up this darkness in somebody else. He is playing around with darkness so that he can get what he wants. And then when the pressure is on, when all the squeeze comes on to Marcus, what is Marcus's thing to do? To blow up the flippin' Enterprise. When the pressure was on, what was really inside of him came out. And what was really inside this guy was darkness, hatred, and just pure evil. Now, Khan, I don't know. He's kind of just like the devil, right? The dude is just raw, intense evil. So here was Marcus messing with raw, intense evil, and it comes back to bite him in the head, literally. Well, not literally. Khan squeezes his head and crushes it with his bare hands. Khan is that real darkness. That even, there was never any pressure on him until the end when he gets the missiles and it blows up his own ship. And what was his response when the pressure was on? To fly his ship into San Francisco in an attempt to hit Starfleet and take out as many people as he possibly can. That was pure, raw darkness inside Khan. That's why you don't mess with it. Now, Kirk, when the pressure was on and when the squeeze was on and nothing was going right, you know what came out of Kirk? Self-sacrifice. Humility. Yeah, that humility that was dormant, it was there, You know it was there because he really is a good man and real goodness was inside of him. But that squeeze was on and finally it came out. On top of the fact that he surrounded himself with real friends in Spock and Bones and Scotty. So the goodness that was already planted inside of him when the squeeze was on is what came out. The honesty, the self-sacrifice, the humility, the willing to offer himself up just so Marcus will spare the crew. The fact that he would go into that radiation chamber and kick the core into alignment himself. I mean, you just see that just poured out of him, and you know that that was already there. Question is, though, if you're looking at real life, how did that get there? I know for me and my life, that gets there because of this relationship I have with Jesus. And it doesn't just magically come there because I say I have a relationship with Jesus. It's something that I work at. You know, anytime you have a relationship with somebody, you got to work at it. You got to communicate. You got to talk to them. And that's the same thing with God. I got to work at it. I got to talk to him. I got to communicate with him. You know, I got to open up the Bible. I got to let it seep into my heart. I got to put that in there by letting him in and then spending time with God. And that's what makes me this new creature. Now, I'm not perfect just like Kirk. I have moments where a lot of my good stuff can lie dormant and I can be a jerk and do stupid things. But when everything's good, I'm taking time to be with God. When everything's good, I'm taking time to be in the Bible. So that stuff is inside of me. So when the pressure's on, it's that's going to end up coming out of me. And it's the same thing with Kirk. He surrounded himself with good relationships. He surrounded himself with truly good people. And when that pressure was on, it was that goodness that he had surrounded himself with and let into his heart that came out and ultimately ended up leading them to victory. I'm super excited for Star Trek Beyond. How excited for Star Trek Beyond are you? Let me know what you think in the comments and make sure to subscribe. Star Trek Beyond video coming this weekend. You don't want to miss that. Subscribing helps you not miss that. So you can check that out and so much more. I'm Durban. Thank you for checking out Durbania.